Hello and welcome to this Project in Box video tour. This is the first of the detailed tours looking at the features in the new version 4.2 on Enterprise and Small Team Edition. We're going to focus in this section on the property extensions. There's another video which covers the bottom parts around reporting to Word Benefits Management, new methods and reporting into dashboards. So let's go and have a look. So here we can see the normal sort of view when we first log into Project in a Box through our main application interface. It's picked up who I am and which projects and portfolios I have available for me in the project picker. What we'll be able to see immediately though is that the data associated with the project in the project picker, it looks a bit different. It still uses a view to control exactly which set of data we get shown here. So I can go and load a particular view. I was currently in performance, but let's switch to the view control panel and select that. And we can now see it brings up a different set of data for me. This is data from the properties database for each of those projects. And this data can be set up, let's say, into one of these views, and the data can come from lots of different places. Properties can come from data held in spreadsheets. So for example, we have some finance information here coming from some, not all, but some of our projects. We can have data coming automatically from our database, such as we have here, like the date the project is expected to finish, the number of overdue tasks, open risks and issues, the overall risk rating of the project, coming through automatically for us into these plan type properties. We can also have data stored centrally in the database against any sort of set of properties that we want to define. And we've got a few of those here: status, project manager, etc. Some of these other things are coming from benefits spreadsheet, the benefits status, and other things here. Now they follow a format which is controlled by the properties management forms. We've got that this is a number, and we've got a number format for it. Got some percentage information, perhaps we did earlier, with some percentage locations against it. We can have color tables running, as we have here, showing an associated color with the entry. So it immediately gives us some sort of feel for the information that we've got in front of us. And obviously this will change as we move through different portfolios. We'll see different sets of information. So let's go and have a look at how we can manage that setup. So this is available only for administrators. We have these two items at the bottom here: system project property definitions, which were there in 4.1 as well. And these allow you to define the properties that you want to collect against all the projects. So these are the ones we've got. We've got status, which is a list type. We have to pick items from a list. We've got some string types. We've got some dates. We could have finances and currencies and all sorts of other things that we might be interested in. Easy to extend this list at any time we want to. We just need to enable editing on the form, make the changes, and then close the form, and users can start inputting that data. A whole set of information about how to do that and how to make that robust and managed nice and easily, which we can talk about at a later date. But basically the idea is you can add extra properties whenever you want to extend that list of things that you're collecting. The ones that you see, of course, is controlled by a view, and we'll come back to that in just a second. So the other form we have here, which is a new form in version 4.2, is other project property definitions, and this allows you to apply the same sort of formatting rules to any other property. So these are not the system ones, these are ones coming through from other places that we'd particularly like to pick up and use. You don't have to do this, so a property will come through and the system will try and apply the appropriate arrangements for it depending on what type of data it thinks it might be. But if you want to particularly force something, then you can do that here. So for example, our finish and start dates coming from the planning database would normally come through with hours and minutes on them, because that's how we store task information. But we'd like to have a particular arrangement of format here. Cost information coming from our and benefit budget information coming from our spreadsheets. We'd like to apply particular currency formats or percentage formats, as we've got here, to that information, and we can do that nice and easily. We can pick any other one up that we want to if I want to unlock this form like this, I can then use the browse field here to go and get any of my other properties that have been brought in. So this is an extensive list of all the properties I'm bringing in from spreadsheets and from extended properties from the projects, etc., in my planning database, etc., and I can take these and apply particular formats to them if I want to. So pretty straightforward to do. So we've got the addition of these extra formats to our data. Let's go and have a look now at working with a view, setting a view up to be how we want it to be in terms of colours, orders, etc. So I'm going to initially edit the current view. So this is the view that I had saved and picked earlier, and we can see that this form has also changed a little bit. We've still got the same first part to it where we set the columns, we can move the order of the columns around, but we now have some additional information about those. Now not all of this information is used everywhere because we use the same property view in a number of different places, and importantly, as well as getting it here, you can get it into reporting. So when we use it in reporting, we may well include a total row totaling up the contents of the particular fields that are present. We may also choose to run a chart off the data that's present as well, only used when we're reporting, but in practice we can save the same view to use here and also to use when we're reporting. So the same form is used to set up both of them. So this is an existing view. I could of course modify it, and I could do that by for example moving items around in the list. I could choose to make certain other items not be visible anymore. I can even remove them if I wanted to. I can add new columns, and this is of course from all my columns. So these are all my properties, my system properties, as well as all the other properties as well. So I can come here and find anything I'm interested in like that. I can in fact select a number of them. You'll notice this is this is collecting together the ones we want to add to the list. This isn't the full list. We don't need to each time add again the ones we've already got. We just simply select the additional ones we want to include. So I can add that to this side. I could add any other ones I wanted to at the same time. OK that, and it will include that at the bottom here. So previously you had to type them into a list and make sure you correctly match the names. This is now much easier to bring the set of properties in that you would like. If I wanted to, I could then set total columns against here. Now when we're thinking about the total column, we first need to activate the total column at all, and then we choose which things we actually want to total up, and they have to be things that are potentially totalable anyway. So for example, budget costs, well that's something I could total. The number of overdue issues and risks, that's or open issues and risks, they're some things that I could total as well. But for example, the plan finish date isn't something I can total. It's a date, not totalable. Statuses, not totalable. So this is about totaling an actual value, a number of some sort. So this is why you set on the total row and then you decide which particular things you'd like to total. If you try and ask it to total something which it can't then total, it will give you a nil response. We can also set the size of these rows if we want to. We can also of course drag them once we've got the form set up, but you can set them here if you need. So pretty straightforward to do. The other thing you'll notice here is colour tables. So some of these rows have colour tables associated with them. Let's open that colour table up and have a look. So this is the colour table for my standard statuses. We have the item and then the colour associated with it, and we can see what those are visibly here. So if we want to set up a brand new colour table for something, we can simply click on the item, for example strategic alignment here. I could set a colour table. This is actually a pick list. I would need to know what the items are, but I can type them in here and select the colour, and if there is a successful match to that, then it will use that colour in the output display. Now to get these things standardized, because of course you may reuse colour tables again and again, you might use status in many places, we have a number of options around colour tables, so we can load and save our colour tables. So I have, in fact in the standard system, we have saved for you a number of standard colour tables. We have a project status colour table, which is set up to give standardized colours against the normal status entries. One for the benefits table. We have a 12 colour pie table, which is used to give 12 distinctly different colours into bar charts and pie charts. We also have, as a way of examples, a clinical status one, which allows you to identify things that are clinical and non-clinical. Just an example of the sort of thing you might choose to put in yourself to make sure that every time you use the same you want to use the same property information and color code it, you're going to do that consistently everywhere. So this is about putting the power into your hands. This isn't programmatic in any way. This is a simple way that you, normally administrators, can set these things up to make them easy for users to use. So although users can come in and set up their own properties tables if they want to, properties views, in practice they're normally set up by administrators who can standardize these sorts of approaches. They can then save the one that they're interested in. So we could save this view as, let's call it new view. And that's now going to follow what we've set up. So we've got that now with the strategic alignments here, and it'll be available here in the pick lists to use whenever we want to. So in the load view here, we've now got our new view available, and so normal users will be able to just pick the one that they're most interested in. So you can use this ability to narrow down what can be a very extensive set of properties. You know, many people already have 100 properties stored, coming from spreadsheets, coming from plans, coming from their system project properties. So they maybe have as many as 100 or more, but in each view there might be 6 or 10, the sort of manageable number that you're interested in around a particular topic or aimed at a particular audience. So pretty straightforward to set those sort of views up. We can see them here. We can also see them in a number of other places. So if we come down into a live project and we go and look at the system project properties grid, so this allows us to edit the system project properties from within a particular view. So this is just for system project properties. It will not show you and allow you to edit the properties loaded from other places because they're managed and loaded from other places. But this is a quick and easy access to the system project properties that you have permissions for against this particular project. So I can maximize that in this portfolio. I can see the ones that are available on those particular projects. I can jump into here and edit the data if I want to. If it's from a pick list, it'll give me pick list type options for that. So I can select the particular item I need. Text and date fields, etc. all will use appropriate type of pickers. Two options here around the colouring. You can either take the colouring based on content in the same way as we saw earlier from colour tables, but there is also a colouring option associated with permissions. So these two projects here, I do not have modified permissions on, so I have read or read-write permissions. I can see the projects and I can see the data, but I can't edit it. In these ones I can. Now, so there's no colour clashes normally. We just highlight that in the first project name column there, that greying effect on them. But if I was instead to switch off the colour coding, you see it then adopts that colour code to indicate permissions rather than the colour codes from tables. So if you're working in a very big grid where you're updating lots of projects at the same time, this will be much easier as you're navigating around perhaps a tight space to see which projects it is that you can work on. Other than that, exactly the same idea. We can load and save views here in exactly the same way as we did when we were looking at it from the project picker. So let's go off and have a look at these properties into reporting as well. What I'm going to do is have a look at the portfolio report first. Actually, there are you can use these in project reports as well. They're certainly more powerful in portfolio reports because we have the multi project element which allows us to chart things. So let's go and have a look at that. The second video tool is going to cover in more detail the new arrangements for reporting, so I'll just skim past those at this point, and what I'm going to do is load a standard report specification. I'm going to pick Control Panel, which is one of the new 2015 report sets. You'll see here this isn't using any of the perhaps what you might consider the normal content to reporting here at all. It's just using a set of project properties grids. Now these are project property views. It comes with a range of them provided, and you can choose to switch on and off which ones you want to include in your output. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the output so we can see what it looks like, and then we'll go back and have a look at the content. So I'm just going to use the Run Report button here. Okay, so here is our output, and this is using a defined view, and we can see this in a familiar way here at the bottom. So we're getting our data table formatted using the instructions that we've given it before, color coding, etc. And then at the top here we're getting some charts. Now this control panel type report is defined to use the first 6 chart outputs that it finds, and then the first table output that it finds. So and it's just showing those simply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the way we have this particular example set up, we have a pie chart running on count, looking at statuses. So we've got 3 green, 2 red, 2 blue, and 4 grey, and this chart is running to switch off any null displays. We could be showing nulls as another category, but we're not in this case. Benefit status here, and so again we're not showing the nulls, so we're just showing the real data. So we've got exceptional week showing here. What we then have in the remaining 4 is a standard set of colours, so effectively we're showing a key. Now we can show a key when we're displaying against multiple projects in all of these, so we could have a pie and a key each time, but just for simplicity we've got 1 key and then 3 pies without the key, ordered in the same way, so they're using the same project, same information, same colours onto each of these charts. So they're showing number of overdue tasks, number of open issues, number of open risks. So let's go and have a look at how that's set up down in the reporting form. As we mentioned, we've got 6 charts coming through, and this first item is giving us a pie and a table, so that's delivering the first table. So let's just have a little look at that here. So if I edit that, we can see we've got, this is showing the table, so this is giving us our first table into the output, and we've got our columns set up as we want to. We've got totaling rows in use and color codes, etc. It's also using, though, this idea here of the chart, and this is producing a chart. The type of chart is a pie chart with a count of distinct values running against the status column, and here we can pick any of the columns from the column list that's active in this view. We're showing a chart for it, we're showing a title, we're not showing a key, we're not using a display of blanks in the way that we were just talking about a minute ago. So we can see there's a wide range of options here which allow us to control exactly what our chart's going to produce, and that's what's being followed here. If we look at the next one, the benefit status pie, and edit that, we'll see this time it's switched so that although it's actually in the background running exactly the same view with the same data, it's not showing the table for it. So this one's just generating a chart. This is a count of distinct values again against benefit status. It's using exactly the same arrangement. With these you can display here, you can choose the size of output you're going to give. So these are deliberately quite small because we're not having to fit a key in, and we can see quite clearly a broad display of things in a relatively small pie chart. So we have an output here which is used by the browser. If it's sending it out to Word, it has a physical size which would be using a 1-inch pie chart. And we get the same idea, all the others working broadly the same sort of way. We can, of course, as discussed, choose to switch them off and switch other ones on instead if we want to. So let's just switch off those bottom three there, and instead let's put some bar charts in. Benefit values, project risk rating, etc. And we can, of course, now rerun our report. And we get a different report with some different data in, because we've picked up some different items instead. So the idea of this pre-saved control panel report is it's got these sets of charts preset running off this table of data, and you can choose which ones you want to put in. If you want to choose the order they appear, as I say, you just move them around in here, and it will move them around in that display 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across and down that grid. Of course, you can add extra ones if you want to, very easily, just by adding a new item and then setting it up in here, either drawing down an existing view that you have, so we can load a view, and of course we have all our ones including the new view here now, so we could bring down, for example, the performance one. That's going to populate it already with a set of things, which we can see are columns, total values, a proposed chart that comes with that standard save view, but we could then change this if we wanted to be whatever type of thing we're interested in from the available bar and pie charts, whichever column we want, and set this up to display in the way that we would like it to. So, this is about, as always with Project in a Box, we provide you some starters for 10 so that you can just get going with the standard project, standard methods, standard reporting, standard dashboards, all there and ready to go. You can very quickly tweak and change these, and you can then extend them if you want to with your own content. So imagine you're just bringing through an extra property from your finances sheet, for example the debtor value. Just drop that onto your spreadsheets, it comes through into here, you pick it as a property, you can then chart it. So it becomes very, very easy to manipulate the data that you're bringing back from your other sources. So we could, if we wanted to, save this report specification and use it again. I'm not going to in this particular case, but just to wrap up this session, I'm going to show you a couple of different uses of what we've just been talking about into the dashboard. So let's come through and maximize the size of our dashboard. And currently this is running, as it always does, the last report that I had, or the last set of dashboard favorites that I used when I was here the last time. If I want to switch those to control panel like this, so this is a favorite designed to work with that control panel report, we'll see that's what it gives us. Not surprisingly, exactly the same sort of thing as we had before, and we can see then that data running at the control panel level. As we can see, it's designed broadly to size up and fit into that space, and then for each of the projects we get our more traditional, perhaps overview, status, highlight report type view at the particular project level. And if I want to jump to a different portfolio, it'll run exactly the same thing for a different portfolio. We also have, for example, a purely benefits report, which is set up to run similar sorts of things, but to merge these with data coming back from spreadsheets. So I've got here my benefits dashboard showing me benefits information in a 2x2 grid instead of the 2x3 grid we had before, with a table of data associated with that. But this is then bringing through for my benefits reporting a more complete set of analysis tables brought together at the portfolio level, and then the detail of benefits on each particular project at the project's level as well, with its own set of charts, etc. So these properties grids can be merged, of course, with our other reports nice and easily. The example we looked at a minute ago, control panel, was just about properties, but as we can see here, you can completely merge those with the other bits if you wanted to. You could have resource charts and all those other things brought together. And in fact, of course, the new poster set, as you might expect, brings a whole load of those things together into one place. Of course, we can report at the project level as well, using exactly the same mechanism. So if I go and do a project report, you'll see here in the properties area we can bring those things through. They will of course just be effectively a one header and a one row of data for each project, and the charts do not run at the project level because the charts are about charting multiple project things. But you can get that output, the lines that your project contributes to the portfolio level, visible. And here when we look at them, we can also choose to flip our grid on its head. So we can choose to show our table in vertical format. So rather than 2 rows, we instead get 2 columns of data. That's up to you, and in fact you can also do the same thing at the portfolio level. You can flip it around, although it's much less common to do that. So that's quite a good introduction to properties and how you can use them in 4.2 in particularly extended ways over the ways you had them in at 4.1 and 4.